Welcome to the Deep Dive by 5W Media. Today, we're really diving deep into leadership communication. We've got a great set of articles here.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. Looking at connection, influence, guidance, all that good stuff.
Exactly. We're going to try and, unpack how to get past those communication barriers.
And the power of listening, empathy, too. That comes up a lot.
It really does. And even some of the science behind persuasion, which I find really interesting.
Absolutely.
So our goal really is to pull out those key nuggets, the practical things that you, our listener, can actually use.
Right. To be a better communicator, a better leader, wherever you are.
Okay, so where do we start? I guess what happens when communication goes wrong?
Well, the impact is pretty significant. The sources talk about real financial consequences.
Like how significant?
Some estimates suggest businesses might lose up to 30% of potential annual revenue.
30%? Wow.
Yeah, just from inefficiencies, misunderstandings, information getting stuck in silos.
Mm-hmm.
You know the drill.
That's staggering, honestly. Nearly a third of potential success just gone.
Pretty much. It really underscores how vital good communication is.
Okay, so if the cost is that high, what can leaders actually do about it? How do you break down those barriers?
Our sources point to 4 main strategies. First one, regular feedback.
Okay, not just the yearly review, I assume.
No, definitely not. We're talking frequent, timely feedback. Good stuff, areas for improvement, the whole picture.
And keep it clear, right? No jargon.
Exactly. Clear, straightforward. And the impact of not doing this, well, one figure mentioned is around 40% of employees feeling disengaged with little or no feedback.
40% disengaged. And disengagement often leads to people leaving.
Precisely. Which means high turnover costs. So feedback isn't just like a nice to have. It's tied directly to keeping your people engaged and on board.
Makes total sense. People need that input. Okay, what's strategy number 2?
Second is prioritizing transparency.
Getting rid of those secrets and hidden information.
Kind of, yeah. Think about when important info gets trapped in, say, one-on-one chats or emails that not everyone sees.
Or different departments using totally separate systems.
Right. Those are the knowledge silos we hear about. They really slow things down.
So the answer is an open culture.
Yeah. Fostering a culture of openness is key. Some companies are even using things like knowledge management systems.
Like a central library for information?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
With different access levels so the right people see the right things, but information flows more freely.
Okay, so open up the information flow. That helps in the office. But what about remote teams or hybrid setups? That's a big challenge now.
It really is. And that brings us to the third strategy, making sure you have consistent and healthy interaction, especially for distributed teams.
So more than just work talk.
Absolutely. You need channels for questions, sure, but also for just connecting. Team spirit, that virtual water cooler idea.
Because loneliness is a real issue, isn't it?
It is. The sources mentioned almost 40% of remote workers feeling lonely monthly. So leaders need to be really clear with instructions. Actively ask for feedback. Maybe organize some virtual team building things.
And what about that open door policy? Does that work remotely?
Well, sometimes it can feel like a trapdoor.
Yeah.
People worry, if I speak up, will there be fallout?
Right. The perception matters.
Hugely. Leaders need to actively communicate, look, initiative is good, honest feedback is welcome, there are no repercussions. Build that trust.
That's a crucial point. Okay, what's the 4th strategy?
The 4th one is about encouraging employees to set boundaries.
Boundaries against?
Distractions, mostly. Personal stuff creeping into work time, the constant urge to multitask, even just a noisy home environment. All that can really mess with clear communication.
So leaders should help with that. How?
By actively promoting specific working hours, encouraging people to set up dedicated workspaces if possible.
I've heard of companies offering co-working space access, too.
Yeah, exactly. That's one example. Helping create that separation.
Yeah.
Ultimately, all these 4 things, feedback, transparency, interaction, boundaries, they all come back to the same core idea.
Which is?
That strong communication skills are just fundamental to being an effective leader. It's the foundation.
Okay, so we've cleared the channels, hopefully. Now, how do we make sure we're actually understanding what comes through those channels? That gets us to active listening, right?
Exactly. Active listening. And it's more than just, not talking.
Right. What's the core idea?
It's really about getting the other person's viewpoint, understanding where they're coming from before you even think about making your own point.
So understanding before being understood.
Precisely. It's huge for resolving conflict, building relationships. It's about respect, really. being fully present.
And there are specific steps, techniques involved.
Yes, our sources break it down into 5 key steps. First, got to pay attention.
Sounds obvious, but...
But it's easy to get distracted. Side conversations, your phone buzzing.
Or just planning your response in your head while they're still talking.
Exactly. Avoid that. And watch their nonverbals too. Body language, tone. Second, show you're listening. Simple things. Good eye contact, nodding, maybe small ahas or icy. Just signals that you're engaged.
Okay, step 3.
Provide feedback. This is key. Paraphrase what you heard.
Like, so what I think you're saying is...
Yeah, exactly. Or ask clarifying questions. What did you mean by? And summarizing now and then helps too.
Ensures you're on the same page. What's next?
Fourth, defer judgment. This is hard sometimes.
Don't jump in with opinions or solutions.
Right. Approach it with curiosity. Don't interrupt. Let them finish. It makes them feel safer to share.
And finally,
respond appropriately. Once they're done, share your view respectfully. Be honest, but kind. Treat them with dignity.
it sounds like a very engaged process, mentally and physically. What if you start feeling emotional about what they're saying? How do you stay active in listening then?
That's a great question. It happens. First, just notice that emotion in yourself. Don't let it hijack the conversation immediately.
Acknowledge it internally.
Right. Then give them a chance to say more. Ask an open-ended question. Something like, I might not be understanding correctly. Could you tell me more about that?
As you time, gets more info.
Exactly. It diffuses tension, clarifies things, and honestly, practicing these steps, even in casual chats, it really builds your leadership muscle, builds that trust.
Trust is so key. And that connects directly to empathy, doesn't it? We hear that word a lot. What does it really mean for a leader?
Yeah, empathy. It actually comes from a German word, Anfühlung. It means in feeling.
In feeling. Okay.
So it's about trying to understand someone else's subjective experience, putting yourself in their shoes, seeing things from their angle.
But staying objective yourself.
Yes, that's crucial. You recognize and understand their feelings, their needs, but you don't necessarily take on their emotional burden. It's bridging that gap between their experience and your understanding.
It used to be seen as just like good bedside manner, right? Something you either had or didn't.
Exactly. But the thinking has really shifted. Now it's recognized as a skill, something you can learn and develop.
A teachable communication tool.
Absolutely. And the benefits are clear. Research shows empathetic communication leads to, well, better health outcomes in medicine, better compliance, lower risk, higher satisfaction.
Across different fields.
Yes. There are even specific models, like the 4 Habits or Pearls, designed to help people practice and improve empathy. It's learnable.
So how do leaders actually do it? What are the practical steps for communicating with empathy?
Okay, so the sources suggest a few things. First, tune in. Recognize when someone's showing strong feelings, words, tone, body language.
Pay attention to the emotional cues.
Right. Second, pause. Take a beat. Try to imagine being in their situation, feeling what they might be feeling.
Put yourself in their shoes mentally.
Third, state what you perceive. It sounds like you're feeling really frustrated about this. Something like that.
Naming the emotion.
Yes. Fourth, legitimize it. Validate the feeling. It makes sense that you'd feel that way.
It's okay to feel that.
Exactly. Fifth, acknowledge their effort. I can see you're working hard to cope with this. And finally, offer support. How can I help? Or let's figure this out together.
Even simple questions help.
Definitely. Can you tell me more? Or let me make sure I understand. Those show you're trying to connect.
So it really hinges on being present and noticing those clues, the emotional signals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And research shows these moments, these opportunities for empathy are often missed, even by doctors.
What happens when they're missed?
Well, the person might just repeat themselves, get more frustrated, feel unheard. It can actually make conversations longer and less productive.
Interesting. There's a model mentioned. Hypothesis test.
Yeah, the hypothesis test feedback loop. You make a guess about their feeling. That's your hypothesis. Sounds like you're worried.
Then you watch their reaction.
Right, that's the test. Do they agree? Correct you. That's the feedback. Then you adjust your understanding. It helps you get closer to their actual experience.
It seems like leaders might feel like they don't have time for empathy, or they worry about getting sucked into emotions.
That's a common barrier. Lack of time, fear of opening Pandora's box, maybe emotional exhaustion, or just lack of training.
But the argument is that empathy can actually save time.
In the long run, yes. By getting to the heart of the matter faster, understanding the real issues, And it's important to distinguish it from sympathy or pity.
How so?
Pity kind of looks down on someone, creates distance. Sympathy is feeling with them, sharing the suffering, which can lead to burnout.
But empathy is.
Empathy is understanding from a slightly detached perspective. You get it, but you're not drowning in it with them. That actually makes you more effective at helping.
Okay, that's a really helpful distinction. So we've covered barriers, listening, empathy. Let's shift gears a bit to persuasion. How leaders bring people along with their ideas.
Right. And this isn't about manipulation. It's a necessary skill, especially now.
Why especially now?
Because work is more collaborative.
Yeah.
Cross-functional teams, partnerships. Authority isn't always just top-down anymore. You need to influence people.
And there's science behind how to do that effectively.
Oh, yeah. Robert Cialdini's work is foundational here. He identified 6 key principles of persuasion based on tons of research.
6 principles. Okay, let's break them down. What's number 1?
Principle 1, liking. Simple enough people are more easily persuaded by people they like.
Makes sense. How do leaders apply that?
Find genuine common ground.
Yeah.
Shared interests, hobbies, whatever. Build that rapport and offer sincere praise. Genuine appreciation goes a long way. It can even mend relationships sometimes.
Find similarities. Be genuinely complimentary. Got it. Principle number 2.
Reciprocity. We feel a need to repay others for what they do for us. The give and take instinct.
So give what you want to get.
Exactly. Model the behavior you want to see. If you need help later, offer help first now. Lend resources, support colleagues. They'll feel inclined to return the favor.
Like those little gifts charities sometimes send.
That's a perfect example.
Yeah.
It triggers that reciprocity urge.
Okay. Principle 3.
Social proof. When we're unsure what to do, we look at what others like us are doing.
Following the herd, basically.
Kind of, yeah. Especially peers we identify with. So for leaders, use peer power. Customer testimonials work because they're from other customers.
Or getting a respected team member to back a new idea.
Exactly. Having a veteran advocate for change can sway other long-timers much more effectively than just management pushing it. We trust people like us.
Powerful stuff. What's principle 4?
Consistency. We like to be consistent with things we've previously said or done, especially commitments we've made.
We don't like to contradict ourselves.
Right. So the application is get commitments that are active, public, and voluntary.
Active and public, like writing it down.
Yeah, maybe summarizing decisions in a memo or email, making it visible. When people actively commit, especially publicly, they feel internal pressure to stick to it.
But it has to be voluntary, right?
Crucial point. If people feel coerced, it doesn't work. It can even backfire. It has to feel like their own choice.
Makes sense. Okay, principle 5.
Authority. We tend to listen to people we see as credible experts.
We defer to authority figures.
We do. So leaders need to make their expertise known. Don't assume people are aware of your background or skills.
How do you do that without, bragging?
Subtly. Maybe display credentials where appropriate, like the physical therapy example, showing certifications increased compliance. Or share relevant anecdotes or experiences in conversation before a big ask. Establish credibility first.
Okay, expose your expertise appropriately. And the last one, principle 6.
Scarcity. We want more of things we perceive as being rare or limited.
FOMO, fear of missing out.
Pretty much. Opportunities seem more valuable if they're scarce or available for a limited time only.
So, highlight unique benefits, exclusive information.
Exactly. Frame things in terms of potential loss, what people might miss out on. Exclusive information is particularly persuasive. But, and this is important.
Be ethical.
Yes. The scarcity has to be real. Misleading people destroys trust instantly. Use these principles ethically.
So these 6 principles, liking, reciprocity, social proof, consistency, authority, scarcity, they're like a leader's persuasion toolkit.
They really are.
Yeah.
And they often work best in combination. But always with an ethical foundation. Aim for win-win outcomes.
Absolutely. Okay, so pulling back a bit, thinking bigger picture, what are those sort of essential overarching communication skills leaders really need to cultivate?
Well, based on everything we've discussed, our sources point to 5 really key ones. First is adaptability.
Being flexible in how you communicate.
Yeah. Tailoring your approach. Different people need different things. Some want detailed emails. Others prefer a quick chat. Different situations call for different styles. You need to read the room, read the person.
Adaptability makes sense in diverse teams. What's second?
Second is empathy, which we've hit on quite a bit. Really understanding and validating feelings that makes people feel valued.
Builds trust, engagement.
All that. Regular check-ins, genuine curiosity, acknowledging emotions that pays off in collaboration and productivity.
Okay. Third essential skill.
Transparency.
Easy.
Being open. Sharing information. The good, the bad, the uncertain.
Builds trust again.
Hugely. It empowers people, fosters collaboration. You need clear channels, clear expectations, and, crucially, an environment where it's safe to disagree or raise concerns. Lack of transparency just breeds suspicion.
Absolutely. Fourth skill.
Active listening. We covered the how, but reinforcing why it's about understanding the real meaning and intent behind the words.
Making people feel truly heard.
Exactly. Being present, asking good questions, reflecting back. It builds rapport, makes conversations productive, and remember, open body language signals you're engaged.
Right. And the fifth essential skill.
The ability to both give and receive feedback effectively.
Two sides of the coin.
Totally. Giving clear, constructive feedback focused on behavior, balanced, specific examples helps people grow.
And receiving it.
Being open to it yourself.
Yeah.
Listening without getting defensive, asking for clarity, making a plan to act on it. It's crucial for your own growth as a leader.
So adaptability, empathy, transparency, active listening, and feedback skills. That's a powerful combo.
It really covers the core of leadership communication.
Yeah. One last specific point from the source is something about meetings. That awkward silence.
Yes. The silence after a leader asks a question and crickets.
We've all been there.
And the common mistake is then the leader starts randomly calling on people. Sarah, what do you think?
Yeah, that feels uncomfortable.
It really does. It creates anxiety, undermines psychological safety, feels like being back in school, being put on the spot.
So what's the better way? Don't call on people.
Not randomly, no.
Okay, yeah.
Instead, reframe the silence. It's not necessarily bad. It can be thinking time.
Time to process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So maybe explicitly say, it's okay to take a moment to think about that. Relieve the pressure.
And for virtual meetings, there was a suggestion.
Yeah, the popcorn style idea. Basically, whoever feels ready to speak just unmutes, shares their thought, then mutes again.
So it's voluntary, follows the natural flow.
Right. It respects that people process at different speeds. Silence often means thinking is happening. Encourage people to jump in when they're ready, not because they're compelled.
And acknowledge their contribution when they do speak.
Yes, that reinforces the trust and encourages others. It's about fostering thoughtful participation, not forced responses.
That's a really practical tip for making meetings less stressful and more productive. Great takeaway.
Definitely. Small change, big impact, potentially.
Well, this has been a really rich discussion. Hopefully this deep dive has given you, our listeners, some valuable insights and practical strategies you can actually use.
Remember, communication isn't something you just master once. It's a continuous journey, right? Always learning, refining.
Absolutely. If you like what you are hearing from us, please subscribe. Also, if you would like and share this video, it helps us tremendously. It means so much to us.
Yeah, it really does. And please leave a comment, too. We genuinely want to know what you think.
And we value any ideas you might have for future deep dives. Thanks for tuning in.